You're listening to the Magnetic Boss Podcast, where badass entrepreneurs come together to share authentic conversations. We're ditching the cookie-cutter approach to building a business and valuing collaboration over competition. I'm your host, Calandra Martin, boy mom, coffee-obsessed coach, speaker, and leader. I help women radiate their brilliance in the online space and create magnetic brands. We are here to have fun, do work we love, and enjoy the ride. Now let's dive in. Welcome back to the Magnetic Boss Podcast. Today I want to dive right in with you and share something that is continuously popping up in the service provider space. So if you are an entrepreneur and you provide a service for your clients or customers, maybe you are a virtual assistant, maybe you are an energy healer, maybe you are a specialist in a specific platform, whatever it might be, this is something that comes up a lot in this space, and it is something that I have dealt with firsthand in my business. And this is around determining how to price your packages and services. So take a deep breath right now, because I know that money talk can sometimes feel uncomfortable. I know that many of us have work to do and growth to experience around money mindset and around charging for our business. And so I really want to dive in today and give you some perspective on how to price your services and how to do it in a way that is in integrity and really values who you are as a business owner. So let me start by telling you a little bit of a story today. In my business, if you haven't been following along, I started in the online space as a health coach through a network marketing company where I didn't have to worry about the pricing at all in my business. I was selling products and promoting products that were already packaged up for me with a pretty little bow. And then I transitioned into coaching for moms, which turned into me also providing virtual assistant services. So these were things like admin tasks, design tasks, setting up email marketing systems, things like that. And when I made that shift, one of the biggest mindset challenges that I had to face was around having to charge somebody money for me, for my time, for the services that I was providing, the effort that I was putting into giving them a solution in their business. And that was something that definitely held me back in the beginning, because I have always been, up until recently, doing really intentional work around this. I have always been a people pleaser. And I come from a background of working a traditional job where I was making an hourly rate. And this is something that I really want to unpack today, because as entrepreneurs, we are no longer confined to the structure of having an hourly rate. Now, of course, there is a starting point for everybody. There is a place where you have to dip your toes in and get comfortable with even charging for your services. And so an hourly rate is a really good place to start. I want to make that really abundantly clear. If you are charging an hourly rate right now, don't burn your business to the ground, but really think about the possibilities that you have in front of you. So going back to my story, as a virtual assistant, as a coach, I was creating packages for my clients that were based off of hourly deliverables, right? I would spend 3 hours a week on planning social media content or updating their email newsletter list and creating those newsletters to get them ready to go out. Or I was spending 2 hours a month on the design aspect of their business. So I would set these containers up for my clients. And what happened very quickly, because of the person that I am naturally, because I'm a people pleaser, I found myself in this situation of undercharging and over-delivering, right? Because as entrepreneurs, we really want that pat on the back. We really, really want, and not just as entrepreneurs, but as human beings, we want that confirmation that we're doing a good job, that we are meeting expectations. Because again, going back to the conditioning of having a traditional job, getting paid an hourly wage, it is really burned into us to believe, if you come from this background, that the harder you work, the more you get, right? The harder you work, the more time that you spend, the more recognition you get, the higher up in the company you get. And so as an entrepreneur, really figuring this out for myself and navigating this for myself, I had the mindset of I needed to undercharge so that people would actually hire me and pay me, which is a whole other set of mindset beliefs that we could dive into. And I had the belief that I had to then over-deliver and exceed those expectations outside of the container for the hourly rate, right? So sometimes I would do extra work, or I would go over that time limit just a little bit, but not charge for it. And what happens when you do this, in my experience, is that you burn yourself out, plain and simple. So if you are a service provider and you are pouring your time and your energy and your expertise into doing something, and the money that is coming into your bank account, the energetic exchange of the money that you're receiving from your clients, if that doesn't add up to really what you are worthy of charging, and we could talk about worth all day long and unpack that and remove the layers around that, but I really want to look at this from a systematic point of view right now. If those two things don't add up, the time, the energy, the expertise, the years of knowledge that you're putting towards something don't match your hourly rate, you're gonna burn yourself out, and you're also gonna start feeling resentful. And this is something that really popped up for me in my business when I was charging an hourly rate for my services. Because even though in the beginning of my business, $15 an hour felt like a lot of money, because at the time minimum wage in the traditional job workforce was around $10 an hour. So 15 felt like a lot to be receiving, even though that was the minimum, the bare minimum of that exchange feeling good. I outgrew that level. And where I see a lot of entrepreneurs getting trapped is in this equal exchange of time for money, and this equal exchange of having an hourly rate, but then over-delivering and pouring their heart and souls into their business. And so for me, what I noticed happening was that I was feeling resentful. I was avoiding my business. It wasn't lighting me up. And things were starting to feel really stagnant and boring. And that isn't how we grow a successful business. It just is not. If your energy is not in the right place, I talk about this a lot with your branding and with really showing up and creating the impact that you desire to create in the world. If your energy is stagnant and you're not making the money that you truly desire to make in your business, and you're not feeling lit up by the work that you're doing, this is like the domino effect where you will reach that burnout. You will reach that stagnation and point in your business where you don't really want to do what you're doing anymore. And so this is something that I experienced when I was doing virtual assistant type work. And this was really a result of me not owning up to my level of expertise. And in this situation, it took somebody outside of myself to reflect back to me that I had a level of expertise in the work that I was doing in a specific area. I had something, a natural gift of design, of seeing the branding coming together that most people doing what I was doing did not have, right? So if you, generally speaking, in the world of virtual assistants, if you're a virtual assistant, it is not expected of you to be able to see the big vision of your client's business and match that with the visuals. But for me, that came naturally. It's something that I do every single day, and I absolutely love it now. But noticing that took somebody else reflecting that back to me. And the reason that I say that is because when I was able to recognize that I had a level of expertise in my business, something that set me apart from everybody else, that was when I was able to solidify my brand, to really step into and own up to the fact that I was carrying this brilliance, this natural gift. And the reason that this ties in is because I was no longer at the level in my business of charging an hourly rate. Because when you are an expert in something and you are spending less time doing something than the average person might take to complete a task. So in my case, it was design, right? It takes me very little time and effort to design something beautiful, like a website, for example. For some people, it takes weeks and months to pull these beautiful layouts and templates together. For me, it just takes knowing the vision of the entrepreneur that I'm working with. I get to tune into that energy, and really my mind just does the work for me. I don't really have to put a lot of intention and effort behind it. And so when I recognize that in my business and I leaned into that, I leaned into my expertise, I leaned into what felt good, and I really asked myself, if everything, all of the rules were off of the table, if we just knocked down all of these previous beliefs and charged for these packages what I truly desired, what would that number be? So if you are a service provider, I want you to actually sit down and do this exercise. I encourage you to do it with a pen and paper because writing these things out is really helpful for processing and really manifesting what it is that you desire. So take a look at, what are you charging right now? Are you charging an hourly rate? Do you have a package rate? Do you have a set of deliverables that your client can expect when they work with you for X amount of dollars? Look at what that is right now and sit with the energy of that. Really notice in your body, do you feel that excitement? Do you feel the butterflies in your stomach? Do you get excited about the idea of signing another client at that rate? Or do you feel like you hit a bit of a wall? Do you contract? Do you raise your shoulders up, clench your jaw a little bit? Maybe you feel dis-easement in your stomach. These were the things that I noticed when I took a look at my hourly rates that I was charging as a blanket statement virtual assistant, and with no specialization, no area of expertise, versus being a branding and design expert and what that rate was going to look like. Now, keeping in mind, of course, my package rates have increased over the years. I have leveled up very consistently in my business, and we can talk about how to do that. We talk about this inside the Magnetic Boss membership on how to set your rates and raise them. But what I want you to do right now is to look at the current rate that you are charging as a service provider and how that makes you feel. Really ask yourself, does this feel good? Does this feel exciting? Does this feel expansive? And it's okay if it feels a little bit scary. It's okay if it feels like, oh my gosh, I don't know if anybody would really pay me that, right? Because you get to build that belief. And this is what is so important about the money mindset work and charging what you're worth, which is something you hear a lot in the online space. What really matters at the end of the day is how it makes you feel, because you can always level up. You can always increase that number. You can make incremental steps and growth for yourself, but you have to be able to step inside that expansion and build that belief. So I remember so vividly looking back on my business when I first put together a branding package for my clients, and I shared it with my audience. I posted it on Facebook. I remember the graphic. I remember what the graphic looks like, and oh boy, man, have I grown a lot since then. But I remember putting this package together. And at the time, it was an all-inclusive branding package that included a website and a logo and the color palette and the brand guidelines and all of the things, all of the bells and whistles that I offer now in my brand incubator. And that package rate was, I want to say it was $1,200 the very first time that I put it out into the world. And to me, $1,200 was a whole heck of a lot of money to receive from one person in one fell swoop, right? In one payment installment. Now, of course, I had payment plans and options within that package, but to create this exchange of energy, to have $1,200 in exchange for me doing the work that I said I was going to provide for my clients, that felt like a lot of money. And I didn't really fully believe, right? I didn't have proof in front of me that anybody was going to pay me that amount of money. It sounded absurd to me. $1,200? People actually will pay that? What? That was, what my mind was telling me. And the same week that I posted that package, the same week that I decided to switch from my hourly rates of doing some of these things in bits and pieces for people to offering this all-inclusive package that was really the one-stop shop for everything that an entrepreneur needs to brand their business, the same week that I made that decision, I received a client. And not only did I receive a client, I received a soulmate client. I absolutely adored working with her. And she paid me in full. Not in installments, not with payment plans, but in full. And I can so vividly remember the second that money hit my bank account when I received that from her. I remember what that felt like. It was this moment of expansion. It was this moment of, holy shit, the sky is the limit right now. And people really will, in fact, pay me for what I'm truly good at. Now, up to this point, to go back to the paying or charging hourly for my services, up until this point, I was charging $20 an hour for virtual assistant services and design services and all of the things that I was doing for my clients. $20 an hour. And when I think about the time, the exchange of time for money that was spent working with this soulmate client who I adored working with. We had so much fun together. The process of her branding experience was just amazing. When I think about the time that was actually spent working on her branding, it was probably a maximum of 10 hours. And that was with going back and forth and sharing ideas, her sharing her Pinterest boards and us redoing her logo 4 or 5 times. And when I think about what the exchange would have been if I had been charging hourly, holy guacamole, right? Like, if you think about the difference in income there, where that package at $20 an hour would have made me $200 versus the $1,200 that I charged for the package in its entirety. That is a huge leap, right? That is a huge energetic leap. It is a huge leap in receiving. And the reason that I tell you this story and the reason I want you to look at your rates right now, look at your packages, look at the pricing in your business, especially if you are a service provider, is because I want you to recognize what is possible for you. Because what I see so many entrepreneurs doing is holding themselves back and writing this story of what it should look like to charge for something in your business, right? You see so-and-so posting on Instagram that her package or her rate is this much. You see so-and-so releasing a new program and it's this much. And so you start spinning out in comparison. You start thinking, well, the industry standard is X amount of dollars, so I have to fall somewhere below that, right? Because maybe you're new. Maybe you are just launching your business. Maybe you don't have a degree, or you don't have a roster of clients that you've worked with that you can share testimonials for. I want you to recognize that all of those things are okay. You get to start where you are at. You get to start with what feels in integrity, right? So if I were to, in the very beginning of switching from virtual assistant services to offering a custom branding package in my business, if I were to charge the rates that I charge now, my brand incubator package is a 5-figure investment. If I had started right from the get-go, straight out of the gate with that rate, it would be really, really out of integrity because I didn't have the portfolio. I didn't have the experience. And if I'm being completely and brutally honest, my skills at that point in my business were not very good, right? I'm a self-taught designer, so I've learned a lot over the years. And if you're at a point in your business where you see that person at the higher level, charging the higher rate in her business, and you're thinking, holy cow, it would be amazing to make that much, but I am nowhere near that close to charging that rate, whatever it might be, let that be okay. Know that you get to grow. You get to increase your rates incrementally or drastically. You know, like there might be an opportunity in your business. Maybe you experience something, you have a breakthrough, you take a certification or whatever it might be. When you can get behind and have the belief behind what it is that you're going to charge for something, then the money, the dollar sign actually doesn't matter. Because if it's in integrity with what you believe you can deliver, if you know that the experience for your client is really going to help improve their life in some way or their business in some way, then that's all that matters. All that matters is your belief in charging what it is that you're charging. So it's not necessarily about charging what you're worth, right? I don't want you to go look at your resume and see what you might be qualified to charge, because the qualification comes within the belief for yourself, the belief in yourself, in your business, and what it is that you do. So with that, I want you to take action on this exercise. Sit down and look at your rates. Be really, really honest with yourself. How do they make you feel? And I can't encourage you enough to open yourself up to the idea of shifting from an hourly rate to a package rate, to having this container in your business for your service-based business, because that is where the magic happens. Because like I was saying, the branding package that I work with my clients on, if I were to look at the time for money exchange, I would be charging far, far less than I do, right? I wouldn't be charging a 5-figure investment if I were just looking at how much time it takes me. But the reason that I charge for this branding package the way that I do is because I know to my core that it is worth that amount of money, that it is going to provide that transformation for my client, that they're going to have an incredible experience, and it's going to move their business forward and create that iconic brand that they really, truly desire to have. And because I know all of that, and because I am really confident in my skills and my ability to deliver something really incredible, I get to choose to charge 5 figures. I get to choose to make my packages at that level because that belief is there, because I can back it up. And because I have done the work around my money mindset, around receiving to the point where I am at this level. So, like I said, take action on this exercise. I really want to have you sit with this. I would love for you to take a screenshot of today's episode and tag me on Instagram. Let me know what your takeaways are, what your questions are. Feel free to send me a DM, because this is something that we don't talk about enough as entrepreneurs. If you are a solo entrepreneur, if you're out there trying to figure it all out by yourself, this area of your business can feel daunting. It can be something in your business that really holds you back from reaching that income level that you truly desire to reach, right? So I don't want you to feel alone. I really, really encourage you to be looking at this. This is where the growth happens. This is where the expansion happens. And I really hope that this was a helpful episode for you. So again, take a screenshot, tag me on Instagram, let me know where you're at with all of this. And as I mentioned before, we do a deeper training on setting your rates in your business inside of the Magnetic Boss membership. So if you are looking for some hand holding, some eyes on your business, support from somebody who has been through this before, then go join the membership. It is $97 a month. Our monthly rates just increased. So speaking of increasing your rates, now is the time to get in. Once you are in, you are grandfathered into the monthly rate. So it was $47 a month. It is now $97 a month, and it probably will go up from there. So I really encourage you, if you're looking for monthly support, a container that is safe for you to ask your questions, to get the trainings, to get the nitty-gritty details of how to grow your business and your brand, get inside the membership, kalandramartin.com. You'll find all of the details there. And until the next episode, I am sending you so much love.